Ladies and gentlemen, good morning, good afternoon, and good evening. And welcome to our very special Founders Day Town Hall event. My name is Celeste Kanunua and I am from the Philippines. Ladies and gentlemen, good morning, good afternoon, and good evening. And welcome to our very special Founders Day Town Hall event. What an exciting moment and Kanunua, and I am from National Scout Organization Leadership, Committee members, staff, and ladies and gentlemen, good morning, good afternoon, and good evening. And welcome to our very special Founders Day Town Hall event. What an exciting moment and Kanunua, and I am from National Scout Organization Leadership, Committee members about the movement, and ladies and gentlemen. So, let's see, Janine, what is our agenda for today?
Here is our agenda for today, Celeste. We will start our journey with a reflection about Founders Day, and then hear a message from our very own Chief Ambassador of World Scouting.
Then, we will give the floor to the chairperson of the World Scout Committee and the Secretary General of the World Organization of the Scout Movement for some opening remarks and updates, followed by a Q&A moment where all of you will be able to ask Craig and Ahmed your questions via slido.com.
Exactly, and after that, we will move to a panel discussion with updates on WASM's plan for 2020 and 2021, which is called Growing Stronger Together. We then hear from a number of WASM service consultants who have been engaged in supporting National Scout organizations to adapt their programming and operations over the past year.
We will then move to another segment around positioning scouting in a post-pandemic world and hear different perspectives from NSO leadership around how they are preparing for this coming period.
And speaking of what's coming up this year, we will then give the floor to colleagues to share more about the upcoming world events. We will have updates about the virtual World Scout Conference and World Scout Youth Forum, including another Q&A moment on Slido to answer all your pressing questions about the event. We will also learn more about the next World Scout Jamboree, World Scout Moot, and Jota Joti.
Throughout the town hall, we will showcase stories of scouts working to serve their communities, and we will end our Founders Day event with a magical moment. So be prepared for a nice surprise. And of course, we can't let you go without grabbing a quick Zoom photo as a souvenir. So hold on to your BP hats.
Wow, Celeste, this program really sounds perfect. Now, how do you guys feel? Are you guys excited as we are? I sure hope so. I see some people using their reaction button, so that's really great. A lot of party mode here. That's really, really great. Now, before we start, we would like to share a couple of housekeeping items with you all.
We are lucky enough to have an amazing interpretation team on this call. You will have the opportunity to follow this event in our five WOSM languages: English, French, Spanish, Arabic, and Russian. To do so, go to the bottom of your Zoom call and click on the interpretation button. Then, select the channel of the language you would like to follow.
Today, we are over 300 participants. I mean, amazing, Celeste, isn't it? To make sure
Exactly.
everything goes smoothly, here are a couple of Zoom rules. All participants will be muted during this call. If you are requested to interact at some point, raise your hand to talk and our production team will unmute you. If you feel comfortable, we encourage you all to switch on your video. It is always nice to see all of you on screen with us today. You all received a Zoom background specially created for this event. Do not hesitate to use it. And the last one, this event is being live streamed on YouTube and will be made available on the platform after the event.
Yes, Janine. And as we are all aware, making sure that everyone feels safe is one of the World Scouting's top priorities. And today's event is no different from that. Let's remind ourselves of some of those measures to make sure this town hall is a safe and inclusive space.
As fellow scouts and leaders, we follow the Scout Promise and Law. It is our responsibility to keep these commitments. During this event, it is very important we treat everyone equally, with respect and dignity. We recognize the right of freedom of expression by participants, moderators, and hosts during our celebration.
Abusive behavior of any kind that leads to harm, prejudice, discrimination, or harassment against any person will not be tolerated in the Founders Day event. We have in place safe from harm procedures to make sure everyone feels safe and welcomed during this celebration. Now, if you need any further information, or if you need support, or if you feel unsafe at any moment while participating in the town hall, please visit our website on scout.org/safe from harm, or write to us at safefromharm@scout.org. Now, Janine, without any further ado, let's begin.
All right, so let's say now, what better way to start than with a reflection around Founders Day? Now, we will now be welcome to the floor Juan Reig, member of the World Scout Committee, to share some thoughts about the movement's founder, Baden Powell. Juan, the floor is yours.
Hi, I am Juan Reig, and I'm a World Scout Committee member, and I'm super happy to be here celebrating Founders Day with all of you. Today, on the anniversary of the birthday of Baden Powell, we all together pause in our life to celebrate his legacy. The world is truly diverse. People in different parts of the world enjoys different food, different movies, different sports, different music, and there are very, very few occasions when scouts, leaders, people around the world stop at the same time with the same feelings and the same dreams. And tomorrow is one of these very unique occasions. On Founders Day, more than 54 million scouts all around the world in 171 national scout organizations will reflect together on the footprints of our founder, on the fruits of his ideas and his passions, and on the enormous and amazing tree that has grown up and that it's still growing up from the seeds that Baden Powell planted more than 100 years ago. Baden Powell had a vision. He knew that inside every young person there is a voice calling for adventure, for camping, for values, for friendship, for sport, for being better. And he listened this voice. He understood how important it is to learn by doing and to experience scouting in nature and to develop one's own personality. BP's lived an extraordinary life, and he strongly believed that every single young person deserved the opportunity to have the strongest support and to live all these experiences and to be able to fully reach their full potential. From his actions, hundreds of millions of young people around the world have already gone through the Scout program and have enjoyed it, have made great friends, and have become the best version of themselves. Around 100 years ago, Baden Powell wrote, when the young citizens, male and female, in all countries are brought up to look upon their neighbors as brothers and sisters in the human family, allied together with the common aim of service and sympathetic helpfulness towards each other, they will no longer think as heretofore in terms of war as against rivals, but in terms of peace and goodwill towards one another. This message was relevant at that moment after the First World War, but it's still relevant today when the world is facing an unprecedented global crisis. We don't know when we will be out of this crisis, and we don't know what the world will look like after. But we certainly know that the more scouts we have in the world, the greater chance we have to build a brilliant future. Scouts have more than 100 years of history working together as the biggest, friendliest, and most committed global fellowship ever. Today, we celebrate that we are here, bigger, stronger, and more prepared than ever to roll up our sleeves with a smile on our faces to build together the present and the future of the world, deeply inspired by the legacy of our founder, Baden Powell. Have a great Founders Day, enjoy the town hall, and don't forget that you are a really important part of the amazing history of Scouting.
Thank you so much, Juan. This reflection was very inspiring, and it reminds us all about the values Baden Powell stood for and how Scouting continues to be as relevant today as it was more than 100 years ago. And now, Janine, we have a special guest that wanted to wish us a happy Founders Day. Let's watch this short message from our very own Chief Ambassador of the World Scouting, Bear Grylls.
Bear Grylls, Chief Ambassador of World Scouting, and today is our Founders Day, and a day that we remember we are part of something so incredible, this global force for good. We're a global family, and what connects us and unites us is so powerful. And I want to say I am so proud today, especially to be a Scout alongside you. Together we can change and serve our communities, make the world a better place, and develop friendships and skills that last a lifetime.
Thank you, Bear, so much for sharing these thoughts on this special day for Scouting. It's really exciting to hear from you again. Okay, for this upcoming segment, you will all be asked to participate. After the opening remarks of Craig Turpey, Chairperson of the World Scout Committee, and Ahmad Al-Handawi, Secretary General of the World Organization of the Scout Movement, we will pick some questions from the audience to answer. If you have a question to ask, please go to slido.com and enter the code #FDTH. Then write your question in English and your name and NSO so we know who is asking the question.
Great. That sounds so exciting. I bet there's a lot of people who are going to ask questions to Sir Craig and Ahmed. So now it is our pleasure to welcome Craig Turpey and Ahmed Al-Handawi for their opening remarks. Craig and Ahmed, hello. Thank you so much for joining us. How are you feeling on the eve of Founders Day?
Celeste and Zanine, it's great to see you both, and I'm feeling super, super excited. I'm getting flashbacks to Jota Joti last year when we had an opportunity to bring so many millions of Scouts together online. How about you, Ahmad? How are you feeling?
Feeling great. I mean, it's wonderful to be able to be with so many of our fellow leaders in this movement. on this very special day. And I must say, Craig, I really like their hats. We should have appeared with some hats today, right?
Yeah, they look pretty cool. I'll have to dig one out for later on.
Let's work on that. Yeah, Craig, we have some really exciting updates to show with the movement. And I know we have prepared some key highlights and are keen to update the leadership of our National Scout organizations on some of the great work that we have been advancing over the past couple of months, and even some announcement for the future. So, Craig, take it away.
Thanks, Ahmed. So today, as we've heard from Juan, we're here to honor the legacy of our founder, Lord Robert Baden-Powell. And each year on February the 22nd, Scouts around the world utilize this day as an opportunity to remember and celebrate the birthday of Lord Robert Baden-Powell and coincidentally his wife, Lady Olive Baden-Powell. But it's also a time to reflect on, as we know, Scouting's great heritage and memories of special moments in Scouting, as well as a time to look forward and recommit to advancing the important mission and vision of Scouting, this great movement of ours. Now, our movement, which is 114 years old this year, continues to serve as a force of inspiration for young people to become active local and global citizens, helping them in creating a better world. That foundation is what led to Scouting and Guiding being nominated for a Nobel Peace Prize for their global contribution to peace and dialogue. The Nobel nomination was submitted by Norwegian Liberty Party MP Solveig Schytz, former Chief Commissioner of the Guides and Scouts of Norway, and a current volunteer in the movement. Now, let's turn our attention to you, our NSOs, so many of whom are represented on the call today. Throughout the pandemic over the last year, you've all rose to the occasion to keep serving young people as best you can and your local communities to keep our movement both strong and vibrant. And just to give you a sense of what's been happening, we've picked out a couple of examples, a handful of examples from around the world. Despite the challenges of the past year, nevertheless, Scouting in India is embarking on a hugely ambitious growth strategy with support from all WASM services. In Inter-America, Scouts of Uruguay have renewed their adult management system with support from WASM service consultants. And nearly 5,000 Scouts in Lebanon were among the first responders after a devastating explosion which hit Beirut, and which so many of you have supported in an expression of solidarity. In Africa, Kenyan Scouts have partnered with government initiatives in packaging and distributing sanitizers, masks, and essential food items to those most in need in communities across the country. And in Europe, Scouts from Romania have been developing training for more than 30 leaders in the areas of diversity and inclusion, and importantly, sustainable development, which is high in the agenda of many national Scout organizations. And in the Eurasia Scout region, Moldovan Scouts have held a training to further develop their youth program. So there's a huge amount taking place, and we're really privileged every day of every week to hear of some of the incredible activities that are taking place. And we salute all of you for the work that you're doing, despite the challenges, to build better, safer communities. Now, the movement has undoubtedly undergone some tremendous change over these past months, and we can't begin to look at where we're going until we assess where we've been. At the end of 2020, we took the opportunity to survey National Scout organizations to understand the true impact of the pandemic on the movement. And here's a snapshot of what we've learned. Regrettably, we can see that in some places, youth and adult membership is decreasing. And coupled with that, National Scout organizations' revenues have decreased, causing in many cases increased financial constraints. At the same time, we've seen National Scout organizations move quickly to attempt to adapt to these new realities by adapting their strategies to better serve their members. From National Scout organizations to our regions to the world level, all entities have had to adapt their planning measures to a certain extent. At the world level, we're currently carrying out the Growing Stronger Together one-year plan, which I'll briefly talk about in a moment. Now, clearly technology challenges have also been prevalent over these last months, and learning how to engage with Scouts in a meaningful way in a digital context is still an area of growth and potential for us, as well as challenge. Now, we've weathered many challenges over the last year, but today we want to reassure you that by staying connected and close to our members, this is really important and is our main priority in the world organization of the Scout movement today. We are here for you to serve you. Based on the learnings previously mentioned, we feel that we must focus on three main areas over the next period, and we reflect on them as the 3 R's: retention, recruitment, and repositioning of Scouting. Retention being the important focus on providing the necessary support to retain our current members and not to lose any more. With recruitment, it's about identifying new pathways for recruiting new members. And despite the challenges over this last year, there are, in many places, growth taking place, which should give us some cause for optimism about how we can find new opportunities to attract members to our program. And with regard to repositioning Scouting, this is about seeking all available opportunities to showcase Scouting as the option of choice for engaging in non-formal education opportunities. Now, much of this work of the 3 R's is embedded in the Growing Stronger Together one-year plan, which we're working on through until June, ahead of the World Scout Conference and World Scout Youth Forum. And this plan, as you'll be aware, covers 5 priority areas: supporting membership retention in what is a changing reality, supporting NSOs with their new financial realities, strengthening Scouting's role and impact as a key actor in local communities, and connecting the movement, just as we're doing here today, but also with a long-term focus on our core business and continuation. And you'll hear more about some of the projects in the Growing Stronger Together plan throughout the course of this town hall. Now let's talk about a few more positives. We're even more confident that our Vision 2023 is still relevant. Unity, growth, impact, and influence still ring true as we begin to develop our new plans with an eye to the future. But there are a few things that we will definitely need to focus on during the next periods, and they include continuing to deepen our safe from harm efforts throughout the whole of the world organization of the Scout movement. We need to continue to strengthen our digital transformation strategy, and we need to build on the learnings from the past period to shape our future direction. There is much to be optimistic about as we head into those discussions. But we've got much more to share, and I'd like to now turn over to Ahmad to share some additional updates. Ahmad, the floor is yours.
Thank you, Craig. As you said, there's been a great momentum. We're seeing how the movement, even at the most difficult of times, we're able to respond and support more young people, even at times where we couldn't be in person and meet in person. And one major highlight that we just celebrated was having hitting the milestone of 2 billion hours of service, of community service for messengers of peace, for the Sustainable Development Goals. Those hours came from Scouts across the world who really answered the call of the duty in supporting their communities. And I would like for each and every one of us to be so proud of hitting this milestone. We have received an amazing feedback from the world around us, saying that probably only a movement like ours can deliver on this commitment. And you remember, we committed 4 billion hours of service and community support that will be contributing to the Sustainable Development Goals. So this is a huge milestone that I think we can be proud of, and we can look forward to see many more of these service hours targeted to the needs of the communities. But with that, I think we can transition to look at some of the additional work we have done in the in responding to the needs of National Scout organizations. And the work that we have all experienced on the need for helping more of these service hours be delivered, that resulted with the Messengers of Peace Fund being available and ensuring that the fund that was made available over the past 10 years for the Messengers of Peace continues and continues to be channeled to support the National Scout organization's response to the community needs. So here we are very pleased, in fact, to say that Messengers of Peace funding will continue. And on top of that, we have an additional fund that will be made available that we just announced to support re-energizing scouting post-COVID. As we are looking at this reopening moment, we have $1.2 million that has been designated to support projects that will be dealing with two main topics. First, recovery of the membership that we lost. Craig mentioned that from the survey, we came to learn about the drop in membership, but also to do the recruitment and support more young people to join Scouting. And I would like to extend very sincere thanks to the World Scout Foundation in particular for their incredible efforts in ensuring that we're able to mobilize the necessary fund and support so we're able to support National Scout organizations during this time. So this fund is available. It was communicated through circulars, and please reach out to your regional support centers so you can access both funds, the Messengers of Peace one, and also this designated fund to support the response to COVID and the reopening so we can allow more young people to benefit from Scouting. But I think with that, this availability of fund and with that great support that we received from the World Scout Foundation, we have also been expanding in our partnerships, and we have been looking at how we can assume our responsibility in the world as the leading educational youth movement, as our vision guides us. And with that, you have seen how we expanded these impactful partnerships, linking them to core areas of our work, whether in the educational aspect or in the aspect related to community development and needs. So with these partnerships that we have expanded, we have seen how even our youth representatives are today assuming some leadership positions in international processes. And we're looking also for additional campaigns that we can take. So we'll be able to punch with our real weight in the world as the leading education youth movement. One particular partnership that we communicated to all national leadership is the work that we will be doing under the Global Youth Mobilization. We partner with the World Health Organizations and with the Big Six youth organizations, and they have suggested that WOSM should lead this effort on behalf of the Big Six youth organization to convene a global youth mobilization to support young people who have been impacted negatively by COVID. We will be convening a global youth summit in April together with our partner organizations, and we have leveraged the funding from this mobilization and from our partnership with the World Health Organization to support additional funding for National Scout organization. So we remain very committed to work with our partners and to continue linking these partnerships. And I have to admit here that our check for any partnership is how it will be helpful to our National Scout organization. So that's always in our mind, and we will be continuing to reaching out to you to connect you with some of these national offices of the Big Six and other UN agencies. But connected to that as well, another area of work that was of great importance to us during this period is to strengthen our internal and external communications. And in fact, when it comes to internal communications, probably many of you have witnessed already an enhanced look and feel and design a frequency for our internal communications when it comes to communicating through the Scout Pack or the additional updates that we share with you. But one thing in particular we are very proud of is the establishment of the Global Communication Network. We have connected communicators across the National Scout organizations. In fact, the participation in this Global Communication Network have just doubled since April. And we have currently over 100 National Scout organizations and associations with their communicators communicating with other communicators across the movement. So we'll be able to echo each other and support each other in communicating joint messages and supporting joint campaigns across the organization. This is also an invitation to all of you. If your association or NSO have not joined the Global Communication Network, please reach out. We would like you to be part of coordinating our messaging to the external world. A lot of good work has been carried as well on relation to supporting how we communicate and campaign externally, and we'll continue to do that. But one area that is really important to us, especially during this COVID year, how we can enable National Scout Organization with a digital ecosystem where you can access all your services and the support you need from WOSM. We have even had a second take on how we produce our digital resources. And on digital resources, we continued, of course, thanks to all the volunteers who have supported our operational framework, to produce some really high quality digital resources. The guide to youth program and scouting, GPS, and the scout ship, which many of you have seen and have seen the different efforts we have made in reaching out to National Scout organizations, is an example of how we are departing from the classical PDF files to enable each one of these resources to be accessible by number of ways, including many sites, including ability to download them in your phone, and also to engage with other like-minded individuals across the organizations who are concerned in the quality of youth program or in adults in scouting. Connected to that as well, the work we have done on the revamping our education platform with the Scout for SDGs, that is currently featuring in a one-stop shop all the resources related to the badges and the different challenges we opt, starting from our flagship initiative, the Messengers of Peace, and down to a number of other initiatives, especially the most recent introduction of the Earth Tribe. And of course, we cannot depart from this conversation without talking about our main vehicle for supporting National Scout organizations, and that is the WOSM services. We're incredibly proud and pleased to report that we have 474 services delivered through the WOSM services. And remember, this was launched just 3 years ago. And what's really reassuring is to note that 9 out of 10 of our National Scout organizations who have received services, they're strongly recommending them for other National Scout organizations. So we have currently over 104 active services, and there are lots of great examples for how WOSM consultants of volunteers and staff have supported the delivery. Lots of great examples from the work we have seen in Cambodia around not only the GSAT assessment, but also in developing an action plan to support the NSOs with the support of WOSM consultants. The scouts from Guatemala who are implemented with the help of a WOSM consultant, the Earth Tribe and Challenge, but they even localize the Earth Tribe to make sure it speaks to the native culture, not only on the urban settings, but also rural communities. With the help of WOSM consultants, we also have been able to support our scouts in Tanzania in delivering virtual training for trainers, for assistant leaders, with the support of this WOSM services and the various tools enabled through it. And Serbia, and you have seen some really of the great work done there recently in renewing their youth program, again, with the support of our very capable team of WOSM consultants. So really the WOSM services is paying off, especially during this year of COVID, have shown that we're able to leverage the WOSM services and being there in response to National Scout organizations' needs. So with that, I think we can just look at another topic of great importance to all of us. And you know, thanks to all of you, the National Scout organization have voted in a rather difficult decision, but a needed one, to have the first ever virtual World Scout Conference and World Scout Youth Forum. And we like to think of this as an opportunity, not as a burden. Although we like to meet each other in person, and we can't wait for that opportunity to be together in person, but we would like to make the most out of this experience to enlarge the participation in the World Scout Youth Forum and World Scout Conference, so we're able to engage more of the members of the National Scout organizations in this experience. As you know, just approved the rules of procedures. We have a journey leading up to August with the draft resolutions released in April, with the ability for National Scout organizations to engage in active discussion throughout this period up until the World Scout Conference. So please stay tuned. We're very much looking forward for your engagement. And we have a couple of good surprises in the way that we are preparing for the World Scout Conference and Youth Forum with a fantastic team that is really committed to deliver a very inclusive experience for all National Scout organizations. So as ever, we always like to hear from you, always like to hear updates and to receive any requests where we can support you. And please reach out to us at the various tools available to us to connect with each other. And this special town hall and our Founders Day is an opportunity really to bring you up to speed with some of these developments and to hear from you. So I think that brings me to the end of this brief highlights of some of the work we have been doing, and over to our great MCs.
Craig and Ahmad, thank you so much for your inspiring words. First of all, seeing so many things evolving and progressing in WASM, even in these challenging times during this pandemic, is really heartwarming. It reminds us just how resilient and innovating Scouting is, and what kinds of opportunities lie ahead for the movement in 2021 and beyond.
That's right. Also, Janine, what an amazing year ahead for new ideas, partnerships, funding opportunities, and events as we continue to work towards achieving Vision 2023. And also, thank you all so much for your questions on Slido. Now, I think this is perfect time for us to ask Craig and Ahmed the questions via Slido. Let's take the first one. Mr. Craig, the first question is for you. Here it goes. One of the things that has been most impacted by the pandemic is the membership. We have seen declines in the involvement of young people and volunteers. How can WASM support us in membership recovery, retention, and growth?
That's a great question, and we know that membership issues are high on the agenda of National Scout organisations. Ahmad mentioned earlier about the success that we're having with WASM services, and I suppose this is an opportunity to highlight the specific WASM service focus that we have on growth, and I would encourage people to check out the WASM services platform and look at what we have available under the growth service. We have the toolkit for growth, which is a really useful tool, as the name suggests, for National Scout organisations to shine light on some of the issues that they need to consider. There's a self-assessment checklist, toolkit for membership management systems that are e-learning courses, links to best practices, a number of NSO success stories and experiences, and importantly, some examples of what NSOs have been doing with membership issues during the pandemic. So I think the first stop would be to check out the WASM services platform and the growth service in particular.
Great, thank you so much, Craig, for the answer. Now, the second question is for Ahmad. So many NSOs have been affected financially over the past year. How is WASM sharing this financial burden with all of us? What plans do you have to ensure that WASM remains financially sustainable in short and long term?
That's a very important question, and something that we are really prioritizing for the past few months, and we continue in our engagement with National Scout organizations. But start with how we are sharing maybe the burden. I mean, it was important for us that we also look at revising our budget, and we did that for last year, where we went with a significant budget cut to make sure that we're living within our means and we are able to even make some savings, so we will be able to support NSOs during this time. We continued that over 2 fiscal years, in fact, and this year we're continuing with a budget lower than what we historically have budgeted to support our operations. So that's in one hand. So being disciplined when it comes to our financial management, and very prudent our resources management in WASM. But on top of that, I mean, I mentioned some of the additional funding sources that we have secured, and working with the World Scout Foundation and partners to support additional instruments of funding that are targeted to support National Scout organizations during this time. Top of that, a very important thing, and I'm sure National Scout organization would be keen to hear this, is when it comes to fee collection for WASM fees, we have also engaged in a very constructive discussion with our members and looking first at their reality, how we can support them. We have engaged a number of conversations around installment or change the payment plan, or making some discount and supporting National Scout organizations. And I would like also to thank lots of National Scout organizations who are, despite the difficulties, they remain very committed to make sure they observe the fee obligations, so are able to support our National Scout organizations in other countries. So in a simple answer, we're in direct discussion with National Scout organization. And if you are struggling, any of the National Scout organization here, they have difficulties or they are struggling, please reach out.
Yes, there you have it. Thank you so much, Ahmed, for answering our first question to you. And now the next question goes to Craig. What can you expect to get out of attending the first ever virtual World Scout Conference?
That's a great question. And as Ahmad mentioned earlier, we're looking at this as an opportunity. We know that we would love to come together in person, but that is just too difficult at the moment. And we will have moments to do that in the near future, we hope. But, you know, our movement has always been challenging itself to innovate, and that's what keeps us relevant. And moving the World Scout Conference and the World Scout Youth Forum to a virtual modality presents many new opportunities for us. And as many National Scout organizations will be aware, there's already been a push to bring the World Scout Conference and World Scout Youth Forum closer together. And we can expect to see that happening in an inclusive way in August this year. But I think it's important to stress that this won't simply be 5 days sitting in front of the computer from morning to night. We recognize that many people are already having to do so for work, for education, or indeed to continue scouting. So we've been working hard to ensure that the experience that we design will have familiar moments that allow us to fulfill our constitutional obligations, but we want it to be so much more. And we know that it can be. We know that we can turn this into a learning experience, a social experience, because we know that we all want to spend time with each other. So we can expect opportunities to connect with many more people than you might do at a physical event. You know, we've learned a lot from delivering the special edition of Jota back in April last year, and indeed the World Scout Academy later in the year, that gives us the confidence that we can connect everyone from around the world in a meaningful way and put the support in place to make that happen. And of course, there'll be the debate on the big issues about the future of our movement and the direction of travel that we plan to take for the next triennium. But it's going to be great, and I'm really looking forward to it.
Thank you, Craig, so much for those insights. Your answer really makes me look forward to the conference a lot. Now, the next question is again for Ahmad. What opportunities do you see for Scout movement when societies will start reopening? How will WASM provide support to NSOs during this transition?
First, let me speak about how much I'm excited about all the opportunities that are available to our movement post-pandemic and as societies are going for reopening. We've just seen like an incredible demand and interest in our work from many new partners that historically didn't reach out to us. So we're seeing governments recognizing the value of having a strong, well-organized youth movements in their countries that would help them to respond to emergencies. We have seen also the going for virtual learnings and the eagerness now for young people to go outdoor and to be outdoor. So there's a remarkable opportunity for the movement to position itself as the go-to youth organizations post-pandemic, because people want to go out. They want to go to the outdoors. They want to experience this unique experience that we offer in scouting. I think it's another really way for us to engage with young people, with their parents, and at the national level with institutions like ministries of youth and ministries of education. So how WASM will support that? As I said, we will have this active support through our one-year plan and the new training plan that Craig mentioned, that will be focusing and really seizing these opportunities for a post-pandemic, whether in the recruitment element, in the digital element, and also connecting some of these partnerships with our National Scout organizations and supporting that with additional funding targeted for seizing that opportunity for the post-opening or the opening moment post-pandemic. So I think we have at all layers opportunities. With governments, we have opportunities. With partners, we have opportunities. And also with young people themselves, we have an opportunity to remind them that scouting is open, and scouting is the space where they can go out to the outdoor, exercise, build their skills, and at the same time, do it all in a very safe space.
Right. No, yeah, there we have it. I think I'm just gonna have to agree with what Sir Ahmed have mentioned, that I too would want to go out and experience the outdoors, but since we are in the pandemic, we're left no choice but to stay in our homes and just to live and adapt with whatever we have right at the moment. But it's good that the WASM is doing this kinds of things just to engage our youth even in this unprecedented times. So there you have it. Thank you so much, Ahmed and Craig, for answering some of these important questions. We'll make sure to take good notes of the others and tackle them in the future. And also, thanks to everyone for dropping their questions via slido.com. Thank you, Craig and Ahmed. Well, we just heard that Scouts have now contributed more than 2 billion hours of community service towards peace and sustainable development. Janine, that's really an incredible milestone, don't you think?
Absolutely. Absolutely. I'm so shocked. Wow.
Really, yes. And I think it's time to hear from young people about some of these Scout projects in action.
Hola, mi nombre es Jorge Espino, tengo 22 años, soy de Panamá, exactamente del área de Panamá Norte. Las personas aledañas a mi área son personas que trabajan de la tierra. Entonces los pequeños trabajitos que ellos tenían los fueron perdiendo por la pandemia. Decidimos empezar el proyecto y decidí poner mi casa como centro de acopio. Todo esto para ir recibiendo poco a poco las donaciones y ir armándolas aquí mismo. Así que organiza mi grupo. La primera ayuda con 4 miembros fueron a 7 familias. Entonces, de estas 7 familias quedamos impactados y dijimos, hey, ¿sabes qué? Esto lo podemos seguir haciendo. Empezamos a crecer más el grupo de trabajo hasta llegar a 11 miembros. Y al llegar a estos 11 miembros, pudimos llegar a 74 familias a las cuales ayudar. El proyecto, por decirlo así, fue bastante exitoso porque recibí réplicas de varias provincias. Yo nunca esperé tener tanto recibimiento de la comunidad. Hacer este tipo de ayudas sociales te deja un grado de responsabilidad muy grande, porque hay muchas personas que cuentan con que tú cumplas lo que ya dijiste. También me di cuenta que las personas te van a ayudar si saben que tu causa es justa. Las personas no esperarán nada a cambio, simplemente están ahí para ayudar. Como último mensaje, pues les dejo que no les dé miedo ayudar a las demás personas. Siempre es difícil, pero nunca es imposible. Y lo que uno recibe a cambio, todas esas sonrisas, esas lágrimas que vives dentro del proyecto, son mucho más gratificantes que todo lo que pasaste para poder llegar a ese punto. Así que adelante, los invito a todos a que cumplan con sus pequeños proyectos.
السلام عليكم. أنا الكشاف علي حسن بالنور، كشاف فرقة تعليم متقدم، وظيفة كشاف علوم شتات بنغازي. شاركت في عدة نشاطات أثناء السنة الماضية أثناء جائحة كورونا كوفيد 19. قدمت يعني أنا شاركت مع غرفة الطوارئ كشاف ومرشدات بنغازي. تم تفعيل غرفة الطوارئ وتم اختياري من أنا وبعض الكشافين بعد لأن عندنا مناعة كويسة، يعني ما عندناش أمراض مزمنة وهيك. خلاص شاركنا كانت أنشطة تحت مع أخذ الإجراءات الاحترازية. والأنشطة اللي شاركت فيها كصناعة الماسكات، توزيع المنشورات التحذيرية من فيروس كورونا، وشاركت مع الهيئة الليبية الإغاثة في توزيع الأغذية على المهجرين والناس المحتاجة، يعني مسجلة في الهيئة. كان الهيئة متعاونة مع غرفة الطوارئ بكشاف بنغازي، تمام. وكان توزيع الأغذية، صناديق من الأغذية، تمام. وشاركت في تكييس الأغذية مثل السكر والأرز. كانت غرفة الطوارئ كشافة بنغازي مشاركة مع هيئة الشؤون الاجتماعية في توزيع أكياس الرز والسكر. تكييسهن وتوزيعهن. وشاركت في عدة نشاطات أخرى. كان دوري أنا إن الإعلام طبعا كان موثق في جميع الأشياء اللي كان يصيران. تمام. أيوة هذا الشيء يعني إن شاء الله.
Wow, wow, wow. Honestly, Scouts, you are all very incredible. I hope we see more of these stories later in the show. Let's move on to hearing about the one-year strategic plan that is being implemented to bridge the period between the end of the 2017-2020 triennium and the 42nd World Scout Conference.
Let's welcome Yo Daman, member of the World Scout Committee, and a panel of WASM volunteers who will share some updates about key resources and support to help NSOs tackle the challenges and uncertainties caused by the COVID-19 pandemic.
Thank you, Celeste, and good evening, good afternoon, and good morning to everyone joining us today. Let me also welcome our three guests for our panel. Monica, who's leading the work on youth engagement resources, John, who's contributing to our growth, retention project team, and Chrissy, who's leading our work on communications and partnerships. They, together with over 100 volunteers from across the 6 regions, have been working tirelessly to provide support and develop resources to respond to the burning needs of NSOs in these extraordinary challenging times. During the panel today, we'll walk you through some of the work happening to support our NSOs through WASM's Growing Stronger Together plan, which is our one-year COVID response plan initiated back in September 2020 to bridge the gap between the wrapping up of our 2017-2020 triennial plan and the 2021 World Scout Conference. We wanted to use this moment to give you a taste of some of the work done to date, but also provide you with a sneak preview of what is still to come. But before we do that, and before we dive into the different support offers the teams have been developing, let me just do a quick round to ask how the volunteering experience during this one-year plan has been for our panel. With the whole plan now being implemented fully virtually, with teams working from home and across multiple time zones, working through countless Zooms, webinars, and various online collaboration tools, how has this shaped your volunteering experience? Monica, shall I start with you?
Yes, thank you, Joe. And for me, it has been an amazing experience that allowed me to get to know people from different parts of the world and different cultures and ways to work. And also, what excites me the most is the idea of contribute with my experience, my knowledge to our Scout movement.
Brilliant. Thank you, Monica. John, how about you?
Thanks, Yo. So I've really enjoyed working with a new team of people with different experiences who I wouldn't ordinarily meet. I've really enjoyed engaging online. It's much more efficient than spending a lot of time traveling. I've learned a lot about new online tools, which, if I'm honest, I've taken straight back and used at work to make my life easier. And it's been a lot of work, but it's been great to see the final products of our work be created. And it's really great to know that these resources will be used by NSOs to help them grow.
Definitely. Brilliant. Thank you, John, for sharing that. And Chrissy, how about you?
Thanks, Yo. I agree. I think as challenging as some parts of this have certainly been, I just keep being amazed at the dedication of the Scout volunteers. I mean, all of us spend so much time in front of screens for work and to keep up personal relationships with friends and family. And then a couple of the volunteers just continued to do so. And I think that just really speaks to the dedication and the perseverance.
Absolutely. I couldn't agree more. Thank you for sharing your insight. And more importantly, let me also take a moment to share an incredible thank you, not just to you, but also to your teams for your relentless commitment in volunteering for World Scouting and supporting our NSOs through what also are for you very difficult times sometimes. We very much appreciate your tireless efforts. Now, let's take a look at what you have actually been working on. Each of our panel members is active in one of the 3 work streams through which we organize the 18 projects of the plan. John is working in good governance, Monica in educational methods, and Chrissy in the communications and partnerships work stream. Monica, let's start with you. From all the educational projects currently happening, what would you single out as the most important pieces?
Thank you. And well, as Ahmad mentioned it earlier, we were very excited last November to launch two new key resources. GPS, the Guide to Youth Program in Scouting, which is an online resource to support NSOs in reviewing or designing a relevant and attractive youth program. And there is Scoutship, an online place which brings together knowledge, tools, and templates for managing adults in scouting. We also hosted a lot of webinars to introduce Scoutship and GPS to all program and adult resource commissioners from our NSOs in all WASM languages. If you miss it, then you can still watch the recordings on the web pages of the two tools. Over the next months, we will be providing updates on the Better World framework, aligning all the current initiatives and educational challenges across four thematic areas. As a result of that, we will also have exciting updated program materials for the Messengers of Peace initiative. And we will make sure all is embedded in our Sustainable Development Education under the Scouts for SDGs banner.
Thanks, Monica. That's some really exciting materials there to strengthen our educational offerings, making sure we can provide the best possible scouting experience once we're all allowed to go out again. Let me switch over to John, who's reporting live from the Good Governance workstream. John, can you give us some highlights of the NSO support your workstream has been developing over the past 4 months?
Certainly. So let me start with our work on growth and retention. As we all know, many of our NSOs are facing or anticipating a significant decline in growth and are struggling with the retention of their current membership. As a result, we hosted a series of growth and retention webinars. We created a new section on the WASM Services platform dedicated specifically to retention resources, and in anticipation of NSOs starting to plan to reopen scouting after the lockdown measures, we're now in the process of developing over a dozen really practical resources to support NSOs in running membership recruitment campaigns. Now, another critical challenge we know many NSOs face currently is around their finances. To support NSOs on that, we're currently rolling out 4 dedicated webinars on different areas of fundraising, with specialist speakers and best practice from NSOs to inspire and support you. The areas we're covering are crowdfunding, fundraising with individual donors, NSO fundraising strategies, and best practices for corporate partnerships. The details are in the slide on the screen, and if you haven't registered yet, now is the time to reserve your spot.
Thanks, John. Some excellent work happening on the Good Governance site, and I'll make sure to explore the recruitment campaign toolbox and sign up for those fundraising sessions. Now, our final workstream focuses on communications and partnerships. So, Chrissy, what's been happening on your side of the plan?
Well, Yo, I think it's fair to say COVID has certainly shaped the way we think about our work in communications and partnerships. So let me start with the Global Scout Communications Network. It is an initiative to bring together key communicators from NSOs to exchange good practice and learn from each other. It has covered fantastic communication projects from NSOs themselves on how to stay connected during the pandemic. We also offer professional development webinars, such like one on crisis communication. If your NSO is actually not yet a member, please let us know, because we're always happy to welcome new members into the network. Secondly, just as a highlight, we have revamped WASM's internal communication channels in the movement quite significantly. We have asked NSOs what kind of communication they need to stay up to date and to stay connected during the pandemic. And this has resulted, for example, in reshaping our newsletters to be more relevant and more developments in the NSO portal. In terms of what's coming up, we know that a lot of NSOs are still working out on how to deal with the digital transformation of scouting in general. This is why we will focus on supporting these efforts specifically in the next few months with good practices, toolkits, tips, and more advice.
Brilliant. Thank you, Chrissy. It's clear that we're doing our very best to leverage all the digital learnings of the last year to harness them in our communication strategies moving forward. All right, our time's up, unfortunately, as we still have a lot more content to bring you in this town hall. But I strongly encourage all NSOs joining us today to go explore our WASM services section on scout.org to discover all the latest resources available to you, our NSOs. Back to you, Celeste and Zanin.
Thank you to everyone for this insightful update about WASM's plan for this year. Now let's dive in a little deeper to some of the services being offered to NSOs. Let's welcome Stefano Casalini and a panel of WASM consultants who will share some success stories of service delivery. Take it away.
Hi, I am Stefano and I am a WASM consultant in the area of youth program. And I'm very pleased to be able to share with you some amazing stories about the support our team of trained WASM consultants has been delivering all over the world. It's been 2 years since we fully launched WASM services, and in that time we have had more than 470 service requests across all 13 of our service areas. To date, that has meant that 74% of our member organizations have received a service. Quick fact, did you know that NSOs who received a service overwhelmingly said they would recommend a service to other NSOs? I want to hand over to Mona and Nathan from the service area of humanitarian action to tell you more about some service they supported.
القائدة منى الأسمر مستشارة العمل الإنساني بالمنظمة العالمية الكشفية. الكارثة اللي أصابت بلبنان جراء انفجار مرفأ بيروت في 4 آب 2020 وسرعة الاستجابة واستدراك النتائج وتخفيف من وطأة المعاناة على جميع المواطنين هو واجب على كل جمعية كشفية وكشافة لمد يد العون لأهالي المتضررين. من هنا قمت بالتواصل مع مسؤول الخدمة الإنسانية في المنظمة العالمية الكشفية الإقليم العربي القائد أحمد صلاح من أجل تفعيل الخدمة الإنسانية، وبناء على توجيهاته تم التواصل مع الجمعية الوطنية ووضع خطة ورؤية من أجل تشكيل خلية أزمة للتعامل مع الكارثة وحسن إدارتها. وكان عملية التواصل تتم بشكل دائم ومتواصل، وكان يتم تقييم التنفيذ من خلال الخطة الموضوعة والمتفق عليها ووضع جميع التقارير والتقييمات على منصة الخدمة الإنسانية.
My name is Nathan Yu. I'm a WASM consultant for Humanitarian Action, and just recently I completed a service request from the Scout Association of the Bahamas. The Scout Association of the Bahamas requested that an emergency action plan, a position paper, as well as virtual training be created or helped to be improved from their end, and I was more than happy to do so. It was an amazing opportunity to work with the Bahamas on this project, and the outcomes of this project were that a emergency action plan was developed, as well as an activation plan on how emergencies or scouts would be deployed was developed as well. A position paper on where the NSO stands, as well as virtual training, was created, and I think these impacts are a very good beginning on getting the Bahamas to a level where they can begin to respond to emergencies that are safe but also can benefit the community.
Wow, what a great services! Over the last 2 years, WASM has trained over 200 consultants in areas from youth program to good governance, who are highly skilled and specialized in providing a consultancy to our member organization. Let's hear from one of our consultants in the area of communication.
Hello, my name is Camila. I'm from El Salvador and I'm a consultant for the Inter-American region in the communications area. I deliver a service for Scouts of Honduras, which was a follow-up service from the CAM strategy they delivered, and I helped them to build a social media strategy in order to get better audience and an overall better performance of the social media channels. I think it was quite challenging, but also very satisfying working with them. Especially it's hard when there is no a specific person that is supposed to deliver all this strategy, but I think it was great to work with them and finding a person that could actually implement the strategy that we built. So this was a long process, but I'm very happy and very satisfied of the results we got.
That sounds like an amazing piece of work. Did you know our newest service, Growth, was launched just over a year ago, with supporting retention, recruitment, and membership management. This is one service that is super relevant right now, and we have Josephat from the service to tell us more about some of the work they have been part of.
My name is Josephat Gitonga from Kenya, a consultant on the Growth Service in Africa Support Center. I am currently in support of Uganda and Tanzania on their growth agenda. Together with the NSOs, we have managed to locate the position they are in on growth, and we have established a roadmap to realize this growth goal. They now know where they are in reference to their numbers, and we have established statistical growth journey to be undertaken within a period of 1 year. The journey is clear, and the NSOs are optimistic that they will achieve the goal and the numbers will be realized. We will look for the new avenues to get the new numbers and also to mop up the numbers that have already been there but not well recorded. Thank you very much.
I'm feeling super inspired by you all today and the work you are doing. Thanks so much for joining me to share your stories. Now, don't forget, every NSO and NSA can submit a request for a service to their organization through the service platform at services.scout.org. And everyone can check out the wealth of self-help resources, guidance and e-learnings that are available for all to access on the service platform.
Thank you so much to our WASM Services panel for those reflections and examples of successful support delivery.
Hey, Janine, you mentioned you wanted to hear some more stories from Scouts. Well, you're in a very, very great luck because here right now, we are going to highlight our impact in communities around the world.
Hola, yo soy Julia Menderfer, tengo 22 años, estudio publicidad y soy de la Asociación Scouts de Colombia.
Hola, mi nombre es Juan Pablo Gavilán, tengo 21 años, soy de la Asociación de IA Scouts de Chile, soy estudiante de psicología.
Hola, mi nombre es Venecia Morgado, tengo 25 años, soy maestra de educación especial y vivo en México.
El apapacho, como se dice, ¿cierto? Que es como un cariño, es un término muy nativo, muy indígena de América, que significa abrazar con el alma. De hecho, ese era como nuestro lema, o el lema de apapachar. Te abrazamos con el alma.
Nosotros iniciamos realmente el 29 de agosto.
Esto nace como por un motivo de salud mental, de preocupación por un otro, de bienestar, de que las personas no estuvieran tristes o deprimidas en sus casas mediante el transcurso de la cuarentena, de estar encerrados.
Poco a poco se va conformando un equipo de 11 chicos de diferentes países, como lo son Chile, Colombia, Ecuador, Argentina y México.
Muchos de nosotros también estudiamos psicología, tenemos un equipo también de comunicaciones, donde está Julia, donde hay publicistas, hay personas que estudian arte también, que nos ayudan con las redes sociales también. Y el equipo de psicólogos, psicólogas, se encarga de crear contenido para las charlas, es decir, nos reunimos los días domingos, tenemos estas reuniones donde decimos, ya nos están pidiendo esta charla, tenemos que tener esta información, le enviamos la información a los profesionales, que es el equipo de Apapacha, ellos nos dicen, esta información es válida, esta fuente es confiable, y en base a eso vamos trabajando y vamos dando las charlas.
Y nuestras charlas son sobre diferentes problemáticas o diferentes temas de interés. Las temáticas surgen mucho de la necesidad que vemos en los chicos o la necesidad que muchas veces nosotros mismos vemos y sabemos que otros chicos pasan por lo mismo. Entonces es mucho de la empatía de joven para joven. Ya en este momento hemos dado 27 charlas. Tenemos hasta mayo charlas con la Interamericana todos los sábados a las 8 de la noche. Y estamos abiertos siempre a todas las asociaciones o a todas las personas que necesiten charlas.
Nos pareció maravilloso conformar este equipo de jóvenes que realmente yo creo que han roto fronteras y han demostrado que se sigue viviendo el movimiento Scout a pesar de que estamos en línea, ¿no?
Me quedo con el desarrollo y con las ganas de querer sacar un proyecto adelante y llegar a tantas personas.
When we saw how families are suffering from hunger due to lockdown, our group acted immediately and distributed cooked meals to these families, including a blind community and other people who have physical disability in the community under Sustainable Development Goals Zero Hunger project.
छु र यो हिमालय माविबाट भइरहेको अन्य विद्यार्थीहरूसँग पनि सहकार्य गरेर वृक्षारोपण गरे अझ राम्रो हुन्छ। यो हाम्रो लागि एकदम लाभदायक छ भन्ने कुरा म यहाँहरूलाई दर्शाउन चाहन्छु।
While interacting with them, I came to appreciate life more and feel the joy of serving. I see in them the value of helping each other in the times of need.
Scouting enables me to do what I'm passionate about, serving others. In serving others who are in need, Scouts learn more from that experience. Scouting teaches us many things about life. That's why we love Scouting.
Well, Celeste, this is just the kind of inspiration I would expect from Scouts on this Founders Day. We're 2/3 of the way through our town hall, but there's still much more to come. So let's turn now to hear from a number of our NSO leadership about how the COVID-19 pandemic has impacted Scouting in their country and how they have managed to adapt and innovate their programming and operations in this post-pandemic context.
Commissaire national de l'Association des scouts catholiques de Côte d'Ivoire. Mon association est membre de la Fédération ivoirienne du scouting, qui est elle-même membre de l'Organisation mondiale du mouvement scout. À l'occasion de ce 22 février, journée mondiale du scoutisme, j'aimerais souhaiter une bonne fête à l'ensemble des scouts du monde entier. Concernant notre association, pour l'année 2020 qui vient de s'achever, nous voulons juste faire un petit bilan. Dès que l'urgence sanitaire a été décrétée, notre association, suivant les consignes des autorités sanitaires du pays et surtout suivant les consignes de l'Organisation mondiale du mouvement scout, ont arrêté l'ensemble des réunions. Par la suite, une plateforme a été développée et l'ensemble des activités scouts ont été déployées sur cette plateforme. Ces activités ont consisté essentiellement à faire de la sensibilisation mais surtout la faire en langue locale pour que chaque Ivoirien puisse recevoir la sensibilisation contre le coronavirus dans sa langue chez lui à la maison. Par la suite, lorsque l'urgence sanitaire s'est atténuée, ce que nous avons fait, nos scouts se sont déployés sur le terrain pour pouvoir aider en donnant des gels-mains et surtout en apportant des cache-nez à l'ensemble des jeunes des quartiers qui ne pouvaient pas en bénéficier. Nous ne nous sommes pas arrêtés là. Nous avons malheureusement connu des intempéries et des inondations. notre association s'est rendue dans ces quartiers défavorisés pour aider les populations à pouvoir nettoyer les maisons, mais surtout à pouvoir drainer et faire partir l'eau. Cependant, avec les élections dans notre pays et les violences qui en ont suivi, les scouts se sont lancés dans une nouvelle campagne qui était une campagne de sensibilisation à être artisans de paix, en appelant les uns et les autres à être des messagers de la paix. Et aujourd'hui, je peux vous dire que notre association se porte mieux. Je peux vous dire que le scoutisme dans notre pays se porte mieux, car c'est un mouvement de référence, mais surtout un mouvement de leader, un mouvement qui travaille et intègre l'ensemble de la communauté dans son action. Par la suite, lorsque l'urgence s'est totalement atténuée, nous avons repris une partie des activités en respectant les mesures barrières selon les consignes des autorités sanitaires et des autorités du pays.
تحياتي لكم جميعا. لقد أثرت جائحة كوفيد-19 على كل مناحي الحياة الكشفية ولا سيما على برامج جمعية الكشافة الفلسطينية، وهنا مثل ذلك تحديا حيث قامت الجمعية بالقيام بعدة إجراءات من شأنها الحفاظ على الأضوية والحفاظ أيضا على دورها في المجتمع من خلال وضع برامج رقمية بالتعاون مع الإقليم الكشف العربي للحفاظ على التعايش والتأقلم مع هذه الجائحة من خلال التواصل وأخذ البرامج والأنشطة والندوات عبر العالم الرقمي في اتجاه للحفاظ على الأضوية والمنتسبين والوحدات والمجموعات الكشفية المنتشرة في ربوع وطننا الفلسطيني، وأيضا من خلال النزول للمراحل المتقدمة من القادة والجوالة إلى الميدان في إطار أيضا انطلاقا من الوعد الكشفي والقانون في مساعدة الناس في جميع الظروف، انطلاقا من واجبها ودورها في توعية المواطنين من هذا الفيروس، نزلت إلى الميدان وشكلت العديد من الأنشطة التي لها علاقة بالتوعية وأيضا لها علاقة بالنشرات وتوزيعها وتوعية المواطنين من مخاطر هذا.
In order to become a go-to organization post-COVID, we recommend to use the time off from outdoor activities to promote the work done by the Scouts during the pandemic and the Scout impact in the society. From the impact and the recognition achieved during the last 10 months, we became more recognized by the public about our mission, vision, and dedication. Our preparedness and readiness to answer in any given situation will open more doors in the future for growth and more meaningful impact. The skill set provided by the Scouts, public acknowledged our vigilance and the need for the young people to acquire skills for life, advocated by our Scout movement.
The public acknowledged our vigilance and the need for the young people to acquire skills for life, advocated by the Scouting movement. With the time for ourselves, we revised our organization and internal structure, created policy documents and annual plans for COVID and post-COVID scenarios. In order for us to become stronger, we first need to retain the qualities we had pre-COVID, meaning retaining the volunteers and their motivation, support the local scout groups, provide them training programs for our members, and support the local communities. Later, we can focus on training our members with new skills needed in post-COVID environment and grow through sharing the scouting mission in areas where scouting is not existed.
Happy Founders Day!
How can we come out stronger? We need to adapt our youth programs to the new normal. We need to find ways to keep people engaged with the more traditional elements of scouting in an increasingly digital world. We need to learn new online tools and platforms to manage our organizations. We need to value mental health and well-being as core assets and develop ways to support it. We need to cultivate extraordinary partnerships, as the pandemic can help us work with partners in new ways to achieve exceptional impact. We need to rethink our organizational structure, have more doers and deciders, and work in a dynamic network of teams. We need to learn that skills can and do expire. We need more people who can continually learn and adapt. We need to use the opportunity to reinvent ourselves, building new muscle and capabilities to come back strong. We truly believe that fortune will favor the bold and the speedy.
Wow, these are really some shining examples of how Scouting is staying strong and responding to the effects of the pandemic. I have a lot of hope we will all emerge from this moment even stronger together.
Yeah, Celeste, that's exactly right. That's what Scouting is all about. I mean, sticking together and being there for each other, even in hard times such as this pandemic. You know, Celeste, 2020 was a tough year with so many in-person Scouting events either postponed or cancelled. But I'm optimistic that these world events will happen either virtually or in person again soon. So let's start with the big one on everyone's mind, the 42nd World Scout Conference and 14th World Scout Youth Forum.
Let's turn things over to Mehdi Ben Khalil, member of the World Scout Committee, and Diana Carillo Tiburcio, youth advisor to the World Scout Committee for the Youth Forum, to speak about the upcoming virtual conference and Youth Forum.
Thank you, dear friends, for your patience and cooperation during these past challenging months. We have relied on your scouting spirit, adaptability, and understanding during these challenging times. Since the World Scout Committee meeting in March of 2020, we have been continuously monitoring the situation around the world and affecting our membership and deliberating on the safest course of action for the movement. We have been in touch with our members and consulted with other international organizations who had large-scale in-person meetings planned for 2020.
As you are all aware, the global pandemic forced us to take the difficult decision to recommend the postponement of the World Scout Conference and Youth Forum to a time where we could safely convene as a movement. We brought the decision back to you, the movement, and you carefully considered your NSO's situation and the situation of your Scout brothers and sisters around the world, and you voted to postpone the conference.
Around the world, the COVID-19 pandemic continues to impact the convening of in-person events, with many international organizations shifting the delivery of global gatherings and conferences online. In planning for the 42nd World Scout Conference and 14th World Scout Youth Forum, the World Scout Committee has carefully considered the research conducted into the various modalities to deliver these events, while still maintaining the health and safety of all participants, meeting constitutional requirements, and reflecting feedback from national Scout organizations. I am happy to report that following the deadline for submission of ballots on 15 February 2021, the motion to convene the 42nd World Scout Conference and 14th World Scout Youth Forum virtually has been approved by simple majority. A total of 150 member organizations voted, with 141 of them in favor, 7 against, and 2 abstentions.
The opportunity to host these events virtually opens up the possibility to invite more NSO leadership and youth participants than ever before to the World Scout Conference and Youth Forum, and to design an exciting program that will engage and inspire our movement as we continue to work towards Vision 2023, our strategy for Scouting. The Conference and Youth Forum aims to deliver a positive, inclusive, and engaging participant experience virtually, leveraging technology and best practices for online voting and digital engagement to bring our movement together. Through a virtual conferencing platform and technical support offered to NSO delegations, participants will be able to take part in decision making to shape the future of Scouting, engage in educational workshops, have fun during social activities, and network with the Scouts around the world.
So, with an eye on the 2021 World Scout Conference and Youth Forum in August, we look to some important dates for your consideration. Ahead of the next World Scout Committee meeting in March, we will solicit feedback from NSOs on major agenda items and release the call for World Scout Committee nominations. Following the World Scout Committee meeting in March, we will engage with NSOs to prepare for their first virtual World Scout Conference and Youth Forum, provide support on mastering the technology needed for the World Scout Conference and Youth Forum, and connect with NSOs to better understand their needs and help them overcome any challenges ahead of time.
Thank you all again for your resilience and Scouting spirit, especially in the face of all uncertainty brought by the global pandemic. The solidarity that we have shown as a movement is a beacon of hope for the future.
Here's to the best World Scout Conference and Youth Forum to come.
Thank you so much, Mehdi and Diana. Now, I know many of you might have a lot of questions around these world events. I for sure have. So we will reopen Slido for the next couple of presentations and capture the questions to answer for you after the town hall. Just go to slido.com and enter the code #FDTH to ask your questions, and remember to add your name and NSA.
Great. We'll be happy to hear questions from you again. But hey, Janine, why don't we zip forward to 2023, where the 25th World Scout Jamboree will be taking place in the Republic of Korea? Let's hear from our hosts at the Korea Scout Association.
Wow, I'm so excited about the next World Scout Jamboree, aren't you, Celeste?
Yes, I am. I must say that was a very upbeat music, and if you have seen me backstage, I was like dancing and beating around to it. It makes me want to look forward and jump into 2023 right at this moment.
Same. Okay, so next stop is Ireland, which will host the 16th World Scout Moot in 2022. Let's hear an update from our host, Scouting Ireland.
was very thrilling. That was a really nice video, don't you think, Janine?
Yes, indeed. Made me even more excited about the World Scout move. So
Ireland,
I can't wait for it.
yeah. I think Ireland is a really nice place. Have you been into Ireland before, Janine?
No, unfortunately, I haven't, but the World Scout move will be the ideal opportunity to visit Ireland.
Exactly. But okay, all this traveling through time is making me a little dizzy. I say we head back to the present year and hear more about what's upcoming for the 2021 edition of the Jamboree on the Air and Jamboree on the Internet. Let's hear from Peter Blatch, World Scout Committee member, for an update on Jota Joti.
Mark your calendars. Jota Joti, our largest annual online and on the airwaves world event, will be held this year over the weekend of October 15th to 17th. This year's event will build on the success of 2020, where we actually had two events, the special edition Joti and our regular annual Jota Joti. We estimate that over 5 million scouts took part last year, and we aim to surpass that number this year. In the middle of a global pandemic, millions of young people and scout leaders came together from the safety of their homes and connected with friends, old and new, from around the world. To make this year's Jota Joti better than ever, we're recruiting more volunteers to help develop and implement the program. We will launch next week an open call for an international service team to help deliver this year's event. Watch for the circular in next week's Scout Pack. As we prepare for Jota Joti 2021, it is important that each NSO has a volunteer in place to help promote and develop the Jota Joti activities at the national level. The National Jota Joti Coordinator is the key link between the National Scout Organization and the volunteer team leading the event globally. We will be holding a Heads of Continent style meeting on March 20th to share more information on the program and to gather your ideas on how to improve this year's event. If your National Scout organization has not yet appointed a National Jota Joti coordinator, then we ask that the International Commissioner attend. Stay tuned to our Jota Joti Facebook page for more information. As we develop the theme for Jota Joti 2021, we are happy to announce that our program will include a wide range of activities linked to the Sustainable Development Goals. You may want to consider incorporating some of our global resources available on the Scouts for SDGs Hub. We truly hope that you and your Scouts are as excited for Jota Joti 2021 as we are.
Wow. Why do I feel like Jota Joti just happened like yesterday? It just given me like a glimpse of what we have during the Jota Joti. I miss those times. All these events look amazing. And Janine, this last presentation reminded me of the great experience we had last year during Joti Live. I can't wait for Jota Joti to be here again.
All right, so Celeste, do you mind telling us what we have up for our next segment?
Hi guys, my name is Juan Estrella from Ecuador, and I'm really happy to be here because I can see scouts from every part of the world, so many countries. You know, an old friend once told me that regardless where you are in the world, scouting is about helping each other, helping nature, and of course, having fun. So, today, because we're celebrating Founders Day, and of course, celebrating being a scout and scouting, we're going to have some fun with magic. I learned so many things while being a scout. You know, for example, when we go in an adventure, we like to pack flat, you know, take just essential things. I learned that and I applied that for magic. For example, when I travel to perform, this is what I take with me. This is a bicycle advertisement card. You see, we have the blue one, we have the red one, we have a small blue, a red, a black, you know, The one that I like the most is the blue one. Now watch. This is how I pack my cards whenever I go to perform. They say you have to pack flat and perform big. But actually, we're going to leave the cards to a side for just a moment because I want to tell you a story. You know, once we were in a meeting with some friends, and Bieber came, a scout, a little kid. He came and said, "Hey, magician, can you pull a coin from behind my ear?" I was like, "Sorry, kid, that's silly. With the magicians, we don't pull, of course, coins from behind the ear. We pull coins from the air that it's behind the ear because the coins are in the air. Look, I have one here. Can you see it? Just going to place it there. Another one there, and another one here. Of course, you want to see the coins. Let's start with this one. Just going to make it visible, just like that. That's number one. That's number two. You can play with these coins and make them jump from hand to hand. Look, 1, 2, and I used to work. There we go. Wait, there's another one right here. 1, 2, and 3 coins. Because I see people from a lot of countries, and I'm doing this with US dollars. Let me change that. I'm going to take one of the coins, just place it in my hand, close the fist, blow, and it's going to change into a Chinese coin with the rest. You see, because now I have 1, 2, and 3 Chinese coins. Nothing more. Let's start with the first one. Just going to take it. And place it in the tip of my hand. Wait, just like this. I'm going to leave the coin hanging in the air. Let's take this one. I'm going to make it change, just like that. But I want you to see. Chinese, US dollar. Do not blink. Just like that. And for the last one, by the way, guys, I don't know if I see so many of you. I don't know if you can see the coin. Can you see the coin? If not, I'm going to make it bigger, just like that. Now you can see the coin. Let's go back to the cards. You know, what's the easiest and the quickest way to open a deck of cards? Do you know? The quickest way will be to open the box and take the cards like I did before. But the fastest way looks like this. Quickest and fastest. Quickest, the fastest. Just like that. You know, now I can play with this blue deck. But, you know, I actually prefer the red one. Look. Now we have an entire red deck. But the question is, where is the box? I have the box right here. Can you see it? Okay, this is what's going to happen. I'm going to blow. The box is going to travel, land on the table, and it's going to appear. Just like that. Thank you very much, guys. Happy Founders Day and happy scouting. See you soon.
Well, those were some great magic tricks. Those were very impressive. Thank you so much, Juan Estrella, for those magic. And now for our viewers, I would like to show you some magic too. You look at my hand. This is my hand. Everybody, you blow it with me. 1, 2, 3. You see? That is magic. You see, that's magic. You see, that's magic. Now, so much for that. I'm kind of shy about that. Well, thank you so much. We are celebrating Founders Day, and I think it would be great if we could take some time together to renew what makes us as scouts, the Scout Promise. And I think I would like to invite everyone, no matter where you are or what time it is, to take a moment and remember back to when you did your Scout Promise for the first time. Then stand up if you can, and while doing the Scout Salute, we invite you to renew the Scout Promise in your own language. If you want to share this moment with us, don't hesitate to turn on your camera, even though we will all be muted.
Now I would ask you to listen to your promise and think it over as you've never thought before. You promise, on my honor, your honor, mind you, to do my best, to do my duty to God and to the King, and to obey the Scout law. Will you do your best? Answer me.
Now that's a very cool view. That's very cool to see us all renewing the Scout Promise together. Thank you all for being part of our global scouting family. Okay, it's now time to get our hats out because it's picture time. We encourage you all to turn on your camera and smile while our super production team will take a picture of all of us together. If you don't have a hat, you can use one of the video filters here on Zoom. I'm so excited for this. Once we start the countdown, please stand still for the next 30 seconds until our photographer tells you he is done. All right, give us your best smiles because I think that our tech team is ready to start. In 3, 2, 1, say BP. Another one, say BP. Perfect. That was very lovely. And you know, I can't believe it's already the end of this event. What a great moment we all had together. Don't you think, Janine?
Absolutely, Celeste. It was a great experience overall, and I enjoyed this Founders Day event very much.
All right, we had an opportunity to see some amazing Scout projects happening in communities around the world. Heard how the WOSM plan for 2020-2021 is supporting the National Scout organizations and got a glimpse into the exciting world events that are coming up soon. Janine? All right, now please join us in a huge round of applause. And of course, thanks to our interpreters who supported us throughout the event to make this program available in multiple languages. I think BP would be really proud of all that we're doing to make our communities and our world a better place. Thank you everyone for joining us, and we look forward to seeing many of you again at the virtual World Scout Conference and Youth Forum. Once again, this is Celeste Cananua from the Philippines, and before I bid goodbye, I would want to do a quick shout out to Flor Cagliero and Felipe Conde. We miss you guys so much, and you guys are really the best friends. Thank you so much for the friendship. Celeste Cananua from the Philippines.
And thank you all for tuning in again. This was Dani Yamakovich from Bosnia and Herzegovina. Stay safe and happy scouting.